I don't think this was a picture that many people were supposed to see. When these things leak, we typically talk about them. This was the photo that I wanted to talk about, and unlike some of them, for this one, I could pretty much spot straight away what was wrong with the picture. Again, this was a picture that nobody was ever supposed to see. We know it took place somewhere in this suburban neighborhood, like Quiet Town. The entire family vanished without a trace, but they searched the phones because those were oddly enough left behind. On the phone of the mother, this was a picture that was found, and I'll tell you why it's so strange. Before we do, as always, if you have not listened to Creep Time the podcast, go click the link in my bio to listen on Spotify or Apple. Like I said, this picture taken by the mother, right? If you look to the back, who is that in this room? According to this file that leaked, this was a family of all boys, a husband, and the mother. Who is this unexplained woman that's in their house? Nothing in their file to explain this person.
Plastic surgery is going wrong, part 3. Emily Nguyen was a young teen who wanted to get breast implants. This surgery is normal and usually has high success rates. But when going in for the surgery, Emily did not know what was about to go down. The doctors put her under anesthesia and left for 15 minutes without watching her. And when the nurse came back, she noticed she was blue and in a coma-like state. Turns out she went into cardiac arrest before the procedure even began. They left her there for 4 hours instead of calling the cops. When Emily woke up, she was in a vegetable state, unable to really talk or even move. Her parents believe she's either gone now or literally trapped inside of her own body. Other doctors believe there was too much anesthetic used. Be careful who you trust working on your body. Like this video for part 4.
This one file found in the Epstein files tells you so much. So as you can see, this is a photo that Jeffrey Epstein sent to himself. Now, we don't know exactly the context of this photo, but there are some interesting characters present. Obviously, we can see right here, there's Elon Musk. And as you can see up top, this email was sent in 2015. You can also see right here, there is Mark Zuckerberg. But later on in the files, we are given a glimpse at what I believe is the list of those who attended this dinner. It included Desiree Dudley, Ed Boyden, Elon Musk, Jeffrey Epstein, Joy Ito, Mark Zuckerberg, Michelle Yee, Naved Farouk, Peter Thiel, Priscilla Chan, and Reid Hoffman. So this is almost like the Avengers of super evil, super villain tech bros. You've got Peter Thiel, the guy who claims that the Antichrist is coming, and he loves to talk all the time about the Antichrist. You've got Reid Hoffman, who literally prays for society's downfall almost every day.
The most proof I've ever seen that the Illuminati actually exist.
Well, I'm on the edge of my goddamn seat. Let's hear about it.
I know you know. I know you know.
That was the most convincing evidence you've ever seen, was Andrew Garfield making a joke. If you don't believe in radioactive spiders yet, I got some more Andrew Garfield content that's gonna blow your fucking mind. I really don't understand how people like this think that they have their third eye open and the rest of us are just asleep. I know I've said this before in another video, but you don't have to make up an invisible shadow government to be mad at. You can just be mad at the actual government. And you wanna know who it benefits the most to have you distracted talking about this shit? The actual government. Take the infamous Roswell crash, for example. The UFO that crashed in Roswell was a prototype US military reconnaissance aircraft that was intended for development to spy on the Russians. But when everyone started to get their panties in a twist about it being a UFO, the US government started to feed into it so no one would notice that it was them that did it. Conspiracy theorists love to act like they are 2 steps ahead of everyone when in reality they're being played like a fucking fiddle.
Light out, everybody. It is there.
Strange Forms of Torture Part 1, Bamboo. Bamboo can grow extremely fast, up to multiple feet in a single day. Not only does it grow rapidly, it's extremely strong. Here's a picture of some literally piercing through concrete. Here's how the torture is actually conducted. A prisoner would be tied down facing the sky over some growing bamboo shoots. The sharpened shoots would then begin growing and impale the back of the prisoner. This method of torture is very slow and painful. It would basically feel like a bed of nails slowly impaling you. Mythbusters actually did an episode on this and proved that this method of torture is plausible. There's a theory that this method of torture was employed by the Japanese during World War II on prisoners of war, but that theory has never been confirmed.
The girl in that video, 21-year-old Erica Lawson, allegedly sold her own daughter to 6 pedophiles so that they could abuse her. And after this assault was finished, the 17-month-old baby Elena died.
Now, this case is absolutely horrific, and it tells the story of someone whose image on social media is completely opposite who they are in real life. So on Erica Lawson's TikTok page, which is still up, she's posted a ton of videos featuring her and her daughter dancing around, seemingly enjoying life. But behind closed doors, Erica was a closeted drug addict. And since details are pretty sparse in this case, and a lot of this is still alleged, this is what we know. At one point in 2023, Erica allegedly sold her daughter to at least 6 men. And when 17-month-old Elena's dead body was discovered, she had been brutalized, beaten, and some people even say she was beaten with a baseball bat. Now, like I said, details in this case are pretty sparse, but from what I could find on news sources, there were 6 DNA samples that were sent off for further analysis. 6 more people, I'm assuming men, that will be charged with this crime. And it's been recently announced that prosecutors are going to be seeking the death penalty against Erica, meaning that if convicted, she could be put to death for this horrific crime.
This is why Casey Anthony is a guilty woman and killed her daughter. So Kaylee had been missing for 31 days. And her mother did nothing. In fact, her grandmother was the one who called 911. Casey's mother called 911 31 days after she had been missing. Casey was just over here giving all of these excuses about her whereabouts. During this time, Casey was partying. She got a tattoo that said Bella Vita, beautiful life, while her child was missing. She was acting completely normal. On top of this, Casey lied to the police. She had claimed that the nanny, named Zenaida Gonzalez, had kidnapped Kaylee, and no such person existed. Also, if your kid was kidnapped, why don't you get up and do something about it? Why aren't you concerned? Why don't you care? Casey lied about working at Universal Studios, leading the police to a fake office, and then admitting she actually had no job there. Daughter Kaylee's skeletal remains were found in December 2008. It was in a wooden area right by her home, and there was duct tape around her skull. Prosecutors argue that she was suffocated with the duct tape. Then the defense argued that Kaylee accidentally drowned in the family pool. The defense are like the people trying to make Casey look good, trying to make Casey look innocent. So where did the duct tape play in if she drowned? On top of this, her search history was alarming. Investigators found
You know, I still don't understand why can't some people just stay in their houses. Like, some people will see this and they go like, you know what's a good idea? Explore it. It all started with a guy who wanted to explore these abandoned sewers. I mean, they look abandoned. I'm not sure about that. They look abandoned to me. So the guy grabbed his camera because he wanted to film everything, and then he went inside. He was like, bro, what's the worst that could happen? Well, let me tell you that nothing could have prepared him for what's about to happen to him. As soon as he started walking inside and going deep into those tunnels, he heard a noise that sounded like a zombie. Not a single human being can do that noise. And instead of understanding that he's in danger, the guy decided to go like, what the hell? And decided to keep going. Yes, he walks a little bit further and then he saw this coming out of the dark, and whatever it was, this thing was screaming. If you're really focused, you can actually see it. That thing is tall. It's either that or the tunnels are really small. Anyway, when the guy saw this, he freaked out and started running for his life. He made it back outside and immediately started filming because filming is not the priority anymore. He is trying to survive.
What the hell? Hello?
What the fuck was that?
Some people think that this video is fake. Other people are like, nah, this stuff can happen, so this video might be true. And I'm not gonna lie, they both have a point. This video might be fake because of the fact that that thing stopped chasing him as soon as the guy went outside. Why would the thing stop chasing you? There's also the fact that we can hardly see anything in the dark, so it's difficult to tell. The other people who believe this think that this might be some kind of, crazy person living in the tunnels. And the reason why he started running after the guy and screaming was because, this is kind of his home. He invaded his privacy. He was trespassing the guy who was filming. So this is why he got mad. But let me tell you that his voice was not human, so I don't know. And I'm sorry for not making a video for almost like 2 weeks. For those who don't know, my phone broke. It broke in front of me, so I couldn't make videos. I did not do that on purpose. And, we will come back better. But, I did not do that on purpose. So I'm sorry, but we are back.
Crime scene photos of famous people. John F. Kennedy. Michael Jackson. Triple X. Selena Quintanilla. Tupac Shakur. John Lennon.
This paperboy went missing for 24 years until one day, his mom received a mysterious package. 12-year-old Johnny Gosch woke up early one morning to deliver newspapers to his neighborhood in West Des Moines, Iowa. A few minutes into his route, a strange man with dark hair and a mustache stopped him to ask for directions. He was freaked out and began to walk away, but when he turned his back, the strange man was still following him and he kidnapped Johnny. A few hours later, Johnny's parents received a call from a neighbor who hadn't yet received their mail. And when they went to go look for him, all they found was a wagon full of newspapers. The police assumed that Johnny ran away, but the boy was missing for 24 years until one day, his mom received a mysterious package. Before I say what's in it, click the link in my bio and get Curiosity Stream. This was from one of their many documentaries, and you can get your first year for $15. She opened the package and inside were photos of Johnny and other boys being tied up and abused.
The Oni is a legendary creature deeply rooted in Japanese folklore and mythology. These demonic beings are often depicted as fearsome, humanoid figures with distinct features that set them apart from other creatures. Oni are commonly portrayed with sharp horns protruding from their heads, well-disheveled hair, bulging muscles, and ferocious expressions. In Japanese folklore, Oni are known for their malevolence and mischievous nature. They are believed to dwell in the spiritual realm, although they can occasionally manifest in the human world. Oni are associated with chaos, evil, and supernatural powers. Legends often depict them as tormentors of humans, causing trouble, spreading disease, and punishing wrongdoers. Oni hold significant symbolism in Japanese culture, representing the consequences of one's actions and the balance of good and evil. They are believed to be the embodiment of vices and negative traits, serving as a form of divine retribution. Oni are closely associated with the concept of karma, where individuals face consequences for their deeds. Despite their reputation for malevolence, Oni have a complex nature in folklore. Some stories portray them as protectors, guardians against evil spirits, or defending the innocent. In these instances, they can be seen as a force of justice, bringing balance to the world.
Wholesome facts that'll make your day slightly better, part 1. When a human sees a puppy, a chemical called dopamine is released in the brain. Elephants also release dopamine when they see people, meaning that they think we're cute in the same way we think puppies are cute. There's a YouTube channel called Dad, How Do I that teaches young people things that would typically be taught by a father figure. From how to change a tire to how to tie a tie, fans of the channel think it's super helpful. When you're on a walk with your dog and they stop to take a dump, you may notice that your fluffy friend is staring at you as they poop. They do this because they're in a defenseless position and they're trusting you to keep them safe. There are more public libraries in the US than McDonald's. After the horrific events of 9/11, a small Kenyan tribe known as the Maasai people gave 14 cows to the US in their support. The man who played Mickey Mouse ended up marrying the woman who played Minnie Mouse, meaning that true love actually exists.
Remember this little boy, 7-year-old Andrew Hutto, who testified to a Florida courtroom in 2008 that he witnessed his mother drown his older sister.
You're telling me that that is the truth, that your mother is not in the courtroom?
Yes, so?
That woman sitting right there between them, have you ever seen her before?
Yes, so?
Who is that?
My mother.
Now you recognize your mother? Here.
You see, back in 2008, multiple people thought it was inappropriate to put a 7-year-old on the witness stand to testify to something that would put his mother potentially behind bars for life. AJ told police that he witnessed his mother drown his older sister Adriana, but a lot of people didn't know how to feel about this. I mean, he was only 7 years old. Was he coached to say it? Did he dream it up? And his mother said that he had a history of lying. Ultimately, his mother, Amanda Lewis, was convicted of the murder of Adriana and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Well, little Andrew Hutto is no longer a 7-year-old boy. He's now a grown man and wants to set the record straight on what he testified to. He says, quote, 100% guilty. I stand by every word I said. I don't believe I was what they called coached or anything like that. I just told them what I saw, word for word. So in case anybody wondered, Amanda Lewis is exactly where she should be.
Mr. Anderson, what would you like to say?
I would like to start by saying that from the bottom of my heart, my deepest and most sincere condolences go out to Sade's family, as well as everyone else affected by this tragedy. That being said, Your Honor, I took this to trial without ever once trying to make a plea deal of any kind, because I did not commit these crimes. And so I plan to appeal my convictions, while I hope and pray that further investigations not only prove my innocence, but find and deliver true justice.
Anything else you wish to say?
No, ma'am.
After this photo was taken, her underwear was found hanging in a tree. Her shoes were placed neatly below, and she was nowhere to be seen. It was 2015, and Sophia Kowetsia, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, was waved off at the airport by her family. She was a beautiful 21-year-old medical student and absolutely loved an adventure. She could not have been more excited to head to Kampala for an 8-week internship at a hospital. She just deeply cared about people and wanted to make a difference in the world. Now, her family were really happy for her, obviously, but they couldn't wait to welcome her back. They wanted her home safe. And they'd planned for the November for her to have a big welcome home party. But that party would never happen. On the 28th of October, Sophia and 3 friends arrived in Murchison Falls National Park. It was around 6 p.m. that they arrived at their accommodation for the night, and it had been quite a big trip actually. So Sophia was like, guys, I'm going to go and find some water and I'm going to find a toilet and I'll be right back. But when she wasn't back within 15 minutes, they started to panic. Surely the toilet couldn't have been that far away, like what could she have possibly been doing? They got some park rangers to help look for her, but honestly at this point they were just hoping that she'd got lost. The accommodation was essentially like a small cluster of cabins that looked very similar and like little outbuildings, so they were just hoping that she'd got confused about which building she was supposed to go back to. But after they searched for a while, they had no luck. And hours went by, and eventually days. Sophia's friends obviously raised the alarm to her family back home, and they were absolutely horrified. They got on the next flight over there. They sped across there to try and find their missing loved one. Helicopters were hovering above, police and dog teams were out in force, Even drones were trying to get a better look at the area. But again, nothing. And although Sophia herself has actually never been found, some incredibly disturbing items were located. Sophia's empty water bottle was found near the river, and the very next day, pieces of her underwear were found draped high up in a tree. Underneath that tree were her clean, dry shoes. And it's really tricky for, I guess, anybody to understand how and why those belongings got there. Some people say that early on the authorities were definitely trying to blame an animal for her disappearance, but I guess they would do that because they don't want to put tourists off visiting the area. Some people wonder if the police found the underwear somewhere else and then kind of placed it there, or did she fall victim to a killer who hung the items there to kind of confuse officials? Regardless, she has still not been found 10 years on, and her family is still living in a complete nightmare. Obviously, let me know your theories in the comments, because we still need to keep her name out there. We need to keep her case alive and demand answers.
She met up with a guy she met on Roblox, but she would never be heard from again. 17-year-old Haley Busby was from Indiana, and she was a junior in high school. Friends and family described her as bright, bubbly, and vibrant. On January 5th of 2026, Haley left her home early in the morning because she had plans to meet up with a guy that she had met online. This guy that Haley was talking to was 39 years old, and they had met on Roblox. As soon as Haley's parents realized that she was gone, they reported her as missing to police, and she was labeled as a runaway, but then it was quickly changed to endangered missing juvenile. Police had discovered that sometime in the early morning, a car was outside of her home, and it was traced back to a man named Tyler Thomas, and this is when Haley had left her home. When police spoke to Tyler, he stated that he did meet up with Haley, but then he dropped her off on the side of the road in Ohio. His vehicle and his short-term rental property were searched, and that's when investigators came in contact with inappropriate photos and videos of Haley on Tyler's phone. Police started to swarm Tyler's home, and they went door to door asking neighbors if they had security footage because they believed that Tyler had something to do with Haley's disappearance. On February 1st, Tyler ended up taking investigators to a dismembered body in Ohio that belonged to Haley. Tyler was arrested, and he is currently being held on a $1.5 million bond.
This is a true horrifying story, part 25. Warning, this is not a joke. The information that's going to be shared is dangerous and life-threatening. Do not, under any circumstance, commit the actions that will be narrated. This is the world's most dangerous book ever, Shem Salah. This book was written by Ahmed al-Buni in the 17th century. But technically, the author of this book is not a human being. I never did and will never read this book. And this is your second warning. Do not read this book. Ahmed al-Buni practiced black magic, and he was in contact with the most powerful jinns and demons before he passed away. The jinns were the authors of this book. The elder generations, like our moms and dads, have heard about this book, and they were warned by it. There are thousands of horrifying stories of people who read this book. Shams al-Ma'arif explains everything about black magic, how to get in touch with the world of jinns, how to marry a jinn, and the sacrifices you have to do for the devil, and much more. Unfortunately, this book can be easily found online. One day, a Saudi Arabian man that read hundreds of books for a living decided to read this book specifically out of interest and love for all books, without fearing the consequences behind it. He reached the chapter that teaches readers how to get married to a female jinn. He laughed about it. He tried the ritual to experiment it. The first night after finishing the whole book and completing the marriage ritual, he felt someone breathing next to his face. And on the second night, he felt a hand touching his feet. And on the third night, he heard her voice. The man was officially locked in a marriage with a demon. 5 years go by. He met a normal, beautiful woman that he fell in love with, and they both decided to get married. A week before the wedding day, the bride, the bride's parents, and the groom's parents all pass and die in 3 different car crashes. These are the consequences behind this book. And it's also known from many stories of people that have died from reading the first few pages. If you don't finish reading the book, you will get killed. All my stories, all of them, are true incidents that happened one time only. But this book is a product that is permanently available online. I beg you, Do not go anywhere near Shams al-Ma'arif. This video is to educate you on the dangers behind this book. Do not go anywhere close to the world of jinns.
You are sentenced to life imprisonment.
This mom helped her son get rid of his pregnant girlfriend. Emily Beetto was born on July 12th of 2001 and was from the Dominican Republic. She was described as loving, kind, and just beautiful. Just across the street from her lived Marlon Martinez, who she would often hang out with. Marlon was born in New York in 1998 and was raised by his mother and stepfather in the Dominican Republic. Although they were neighbors, they lived in two different worlds. Emily's family lived in a very small home, struggling to take care of her and her siblings, while Marlon's home was a grand modern villa. It had a gate and a large front garden since his mom worked in politics. His family could afford expensive gifts, and they were able to send him to an expensive school out of town. Once Emily turned 15 years old and Marlon was 18 years old, they started to date, and once she turned 16 and he was 19, Emily found out she was pregnant. At first, Emily was very scared, but she decided to keep the baby. However, Marlon's mother was not happy about this because she was scared it was going to affect the family's reputation since her son got someone pregnant that's poor. On August 23rd of 2017, Emily is now 5 months pregnant and she's expecting a baby boy. On that day around 8:30 a.m., Emily and Marlon have plans to go to the clinic to pick up lab results. Around 11:25 a.m., Emily texts her sister that she is going to be dropped off at a gas station because she has plans to meet up with one of her uncles. Her family thought this was really strange because she didn't use text, she always used voice message, and who was this uncle that she was supposedly meeting up with? Since they are neighbors with Marlon, they saw when he arrived home, so the sister goes to approach him to ask where her sister is. Marlon stated that when they went to the clinic, Emily had gotten the dates wrong and they weren't able to get the results. As they were heading back home, he stated that Emily asked if he could drop her off at a gas station because she was going to be meeting up with her uncle and that uncle would be dropping her off at home. Emily's family found this very odd, so they headed over to that gas station to see if anyone had saw her. Once the family asked for surveillance footage, there was no sign of Emily or Marlon. Things were not adding up, so Emily's mom called police to report her as missing. Right away, Emily's family felt like Marlon and his mother Marlene had something to do with this. Her family knew one thing for sure, and it was that Marlene was not happy about the pregnancy at all, and she probably did something to Emily and the baby. So to address these rumors, Marlon and his mother Marlene held a press conference in their living room. In the footage, Marlon is asking Emily to return home, and Marlene is just stating that everything is a lie and they had nothing to do with her disappearance. Marlene also messes up by saying Emily in past tense, so she has to correct herself. But despite this at-home press conference, people were not convinced. On August 26 of 2017, Marlon ended up turning himself in, and a few days later, his mother turned herself in as well, and they were arrested. Reporters were asking Marlene if she helped with Emily's disappearance, and all she was saying was that she was acting like a mother, not an accomplice. On August 31st, a suitcase was found on the side of the road about an hour away from where Emily lived. Once that suitcase was opened, it was revealed that Emily was inside and she had trauma to her abdomen and skull. It was revealed that on the day the two were supposed to go to the clinic, Marlon never took her there. Instead, he took her to his mom's empty apartment and he forced Emily to drink an unknown liquid that was supposed to get rid of her baby. But it didn't go as planned. Emily was bleeding a lot and she started to fight off Marlon. So he pushed her, she then fell and hit her head. Then surveillance footage captured Marlon carrying Emily's body in a sack. After this, he called his mother Marlene to come help and cover everything up, and of course, she agreed. Marlon was sentenced to 30 years in prison, and Marlene was originally sentenced to 5 years in prison, but later it got reduced to 2 years.